The Trump recession. Have we got our first negative print for Q1 GDP? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about what Trump and the administration are saying. Let's break it down logically. Let's ask ourselves some important questions. But let's get into the data. We just got our first cut, our first report of Q1 GDP, and it was negative. Yes, folks, negative. It was negative 0.3%. But that doesn't tell the whole story. I don't know if you know this, but Q1 GDP reports imports as subtracting from GDP. So again, if we look at Q1, we look at Liberation Day, we look at tariffs. What is something that you and I have been talking about for 8 weeks? You and I have been talking about consumers and businesses buying ahead of the tariffs. Now, if you're going to buy ahead of a April 2nd tariff, what does that mean? That means you need to do your purchases in Q1. So again, knowing that GDP calculates or leverages imports as a negative, it should not be shocking that Q1 was negative. In fact, imports soared 41.3%. Now, why did imports soar? Again, they soared because of the tariffs. There is another way to calculate GDP. It is often referred to as the real GDP. It actually calculates Q1 growth without the minus for imports at just about 3%. Again, generally speaking, a healthy quarter. However, also a quarter that was influenced by tariffs. Again, people buying ahead of time. As I've said for quite a while now, Q1 was going to be a really dirty quarter because of the influence of tariffs and imports and things of that nature. So again, the headline is negative 0.3. Realize that this is the first print. We will get 2 revisions. Could get worse, could get better. We shall see. But what I think is very interesting, if you're just honest with yourself, and I know in today's political comment, honesty with oneself doesn't happen a lot. President Trump is, as you might suspect, blaming the negative quarter on Biden and saying this is an overhang that we must work through and that we must be patient. Again, I ask you to be logical. If we can all agree that a 41% increase in imports was not Biden's fault, it was caused by the threat of tariffs, it was a normal and expected behavior, I think saying the negative 0.3 print is Biden's fault is disingenuous. This is 100% Trump's doing. And again, I'm not here telling you that the negative 0.3 is bad. I'm telling you that it's really odd that the imports subtract from GDP. We saw a big run up in GDP. And oh, by the way, there's another way to report GDP without that subtraction. And it actually showed a very strong quarter at 3%. I think the message from the administration should be, hey, businesses and consumers did what they should have done. They bought ahead. Hence, imports went up 41%. But guess what, folks? That won't happen in Q2. We won't import all of that stuff in Q2. Tariffs are going to fix it. That's the message that they should come with instead of saying it's a Biden overhang. Because again, it's just nonsensical. Not to say that Biden was great. I've never, ever said that. In fact, he was, never mind. We don't need to go there. But to say this was Biden's fault is disingenuous, in my opinion. That said, we got a lot of other economic data, and again, it is not good. Private payrolls, the second of 3 jobs numbers. Last month, 147,000 jobs created. It was expected to slow to 120,000. Whoops. Slowed to only 62,000. A big miss, Private sector is slowing hiring due to uncertainty. Wage growth did dip a little bit, went down to 4.5% from 4.6. The big number of the week will be on Friday. It is expected to come in at 133,000. This is the BLS report. And the unemployment rate is expected to be at 4.2%. So again, lots going on. We also got a lot of earnings that we should talk about. I'll go through them quickly. Visa beat top line and bottom line and authorized a $30 billion share buyback. Wow. First Solar CEO, tariffs pose significant economic headwind. Ouch. Goldman Sachs says a recession means stocks have farther to fall. I think so. Yum Brands, if you don't know Yum Brands, they're KFC, Pizza Hut, and Taco Bell. Missed on revenue, beat on earnings. We're seeing more and more companies miss on revenue and hit or beat earnings. Again, always remember, earnings can be managed by accountants. I was one of them. I did it. I know how it's done. Same store sales at Pizza Hut, for example, were down 2%. Etsy beat top line, beat bottom line, really focusing on the Buy American. Again, it's a lot of crafts and whatnot. Snap, headwinds to start the quarter. If you know, Snap is obviously advertising like Facebook, Meta, and the like, saying that the start of the quarter, a lot of headwinds. The ability to offer guidance. They are unable or inability to offer guidance. Again, somebody who pulled guidance. Starbucks, same store sales disappoint, turnaround in question, missed on revenue, missed on earnings. Same store sales fell. Same store sales fell for the 5th quarter in a row. Supermicro released preliminary results well below estimates. We got a couple more. Booking Holdings, stable travel demand, which is interesting because, again, airlines were fickle. First Solar, lots of tariff risks. Cat, missed top line, missed bottom line, sales down 10%. And then the one I was looking for, Royal Caribbean. No slowdown yet. You all are liking your cruises. It's an efficient and economical way to travel. Obviously, I love travel as well. Did you know that Royal Caribbean has 86% of their rooms sold for the year? Of all their sailings, 86% of the rooms are already sold. Pretty crazy. Scott Bessent is hoping for a signed, sealed, and delivered tax bill by July 4th. Again, I think the administration needs to pivot from all this tariff nonsense and talk about the deregulation and tax savings coming to Americans. You have to change the message. You have to turn the story around. I do want to shout out our latest member of school, Zali. Hopefully I got that right. Welcome to school. Make sure you introduce yourself. Get to level 2 or level 3 so you unlock all of those amazing reports. Lastly, we can talk about real estate. Mortgage home buyer demand drops again. Purchase apps down 4%, up 3% year on year. Refi demand down 4% week on week, up 42% year on year. And finally, pending home sales. Pending home sales with a shocking number. Pending home sales up 6.1%. Was expected to only be up 0.9. Let's call it 1%. The Northeast was down 0.5%. The South was up 9.8%. The West up 4.8%. And the Midwest up 4.9%. So really, the South is leading the way, and the Northeast is struggling. The Northeast, quite frankly, has been the last market to go from sellers to buyers. So I suspect what we are seeing in the Northeast is that start of a transition where we go from a seller's market to a neutral or buyer's market. Folks, lots of stuff going on in the news. Again, pay attention. Q2 will be interesting. We still need to announce some trade wins. We got to turn the story, got to turn the message around, and it should be never boring. Folks, the last thing I will say is it is April 30th, which means you are 4 months done with 2025. You only got 8 months left. 2025 is 1/3 over. Think about that. A lot of you watch this channel. You're interested in investing real estate, getting wealthy. I strongly suggest, if you haven't already, join school. It's cheap, 67 cents a day, and you'll be around people going in the right direction. You've got to do the work. You got to understand, the 50-40-10. You've got to understand tools like Property Radar, which we will be bringing to school on Sunday. The invite is already there. I hope you have an amazing day. Take care of yourself. Later.